And the next order of business is the address of the President of the City Council. So now it is my honor to introduce President Judy Pineda Neufeld.
Thank you so much. My speech is a good 4.5 hours, so if you're sitting, standing, and want to sit down and find a seat, feel free to do so. Perhaps if you're sitting next to an empty chair, if you could raise your hand to help those that need to find a seat. There's a couple of empty seats up here for those looking for a chair. Great. Good evening, colleagues, community members, and honored guests. My name again is Judy Pineda Neufeld, and it is an incredible privilege to stand before you here today as the new president of the Somerville City Council. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude first to the residents of Somerville whose passion and engagement inspire everything that we do, to my fellow councilors for entrusting me with this responsibility, and to the city staff who work tirelessly every single day to make our city thrive. Together, we are working towards shaping and creating a city that builds on our rich history, embraces our challenges, and celebrates our opportunities. And I'm excited to share that today, we are making history. It's the first time our city will be led by 3 women, our school committee chair, Alana Krepchin, our mayor, Katiana Ballantyne, and myself as your city council president. And to all my family and friends here in these chambers and watching from across the country, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for always encouraging me on this journey. To my husband, Mark, who's feeding our son in the other room, thank you for supporting me and keeping me grounded. To my son, Isaac, thank you for reminding me of what's always important and for loving this city as much as I do. For those who don't know me, I'm the proud daughter of 2 immigrant parents. I'm Mexican-American and Jewish, and like so many of us in Somerville, grew up in a multi-ethnic, multicultural household that celebrated all sides of my family. My mom, the oldest of 9 kids, was born and raised in Mexico City and immigrated to Los Angeles as a single mom when she was just 26. Always the nurturing caretaker in her family, my mom taught me about my inherent strength and resilience and how to lead with love and compassion in all that I do. She is so proud to know that her daughter is the first Latina City Council president in Somerville's history. My dad, a child of Holocaust survivors, was born in a displaced persons camp in Belgium after World War II. He's been my political mentor my entire life. I've been shaped by his stories, from his time as a civil rights activist in the 60s to organizing for workers' rights in the Shipbuilders Union when I was just a baby. In fact, it was just over 20 years ago now that my dad taught me one of the most important lessons that stays with me to this day. It was April of 2004, and I was a student here just down the road at Tufts University. If you can remember back then, George W. Bush was president, and reproductive rights were under attack. A coalition of national organizations began planning what would become back then the largest pro-choice march in history in Washington, D.C., the March for Women's Lives. I got to work as a student and was proud to organize over 200 Tufts students to attend that march, which was one of the largest contingents of college students from the Boston area. My dad was never one to miss a march or protest, something many of you in this room can probably relate to. So he hopped on a plane to meet me in DC, and we marched side by side together on that historic day. After the march concluded, we all assembled on the Washington Mall to listen to speeches that would call on us to take action. As Gloria Steinem took the stage, my dad, out of nowhere, found some rickety old folding chair and excitedly grabbed my hand to help me climb on top of it. I thought he just wanted me to get a closer look at the feminist icon that was coming on the stage. But instead, he did something totally different. He grabbed my hand and he turned me around. What I saw behind me in that moment were millions of other people of all ages, all genders, all ethnicities, students, seniors, families with children, all standing on the Washington Mall because they too cared about reproductive freedom and women's rights, I saw the hundreds of tough students in bright red shirts that I helped organize to be there, most of them at their first march and their first protest. And I realized that my dad was teaching me something in that moment, that it wasn't actually about me. That this march, this moment, these speeches, it wasn't about whether or not I could see Gloria Steinem on stage at all. That didn't matter. It was about the hundreds of students I helped to organize, the millions of people on the Washington Mall, and more importantly, the millions more who couldn't be there, who were all fighting for the same cause. He taught me about the power of organizing, of building coalitions, of amplifying shared values that unite and inspire us. And it was about the importance of something called tikkun olam, a Hebrew phrase that literally translates to repairing the world. So, Dad, if you're listening, thank you. I want you to know that I remember that moment on that rickety old folding chair each time I walk into these City Hall chambers and take votes, whether big or small. I remember that moment every time someone asks me why I do public service. And I'm committing to each of you now that I will continue to remember that moment as I serve as your City Council President this year. Because 2025 will be full of challenges and opportunities for all of us to come together to shape this city we all know and love and not lose sight of who we do our work for, all of you. Somerville, it's a remarkable place, full of remarkable people, and I feel so lucky I get to raise my son here. Known as the City of Squares, our vibrant neighborhoods are the heart of our community. From Teal and Davis to Union and Magoon, each square tells its own story of innovation, of resilience, and a commitment to inclusion. Our city is home to artists, activists, entrepreneurs, and families from all walks of life, making Somerville not just the densest city, but one of the most dynamic and diverse cities in all of New England. Where else can you celebrate fluff one weekend, listen to Guster play from a front porch the next, and discuss zoning policy with your neighbors in between? Only in Somerville. When I ask people what they love most about the city, what they most love about Somerville, the answers vary, but one theme always stands out, and I bet it's true if you ask people what they love about Somerville too. It's the people. Our residents are the heart of what makes Somerville so unique and so special. They're caring, passionate, and deeply engaged on the issues that matter. It's the sense of connection, it's the sense of community that truly defines us as a city. And that sense of connection and community matters now more than ever. In a time when our national political landscape feels more divided and polarized than it has in years, Somerville has the opportunity to stand out. This is where we can shine. By turning towards one another, not away, even in our most challenging moments. Somerville can be a beacon of hope, not just for our region, but for our entire Commonwealth and the nation. We can set the gold standard for what it means to be a truly welcoming, inclusive, and connected city and community. And so as we look together towards Somerville's future, we must confront the realities that threaten the well-being of that very community: housing affordability, transit and transportation challenges, climate change, the displacement of our small businesses, crumbling infrastructure, and so much more. As I stand in front of you today, I remember the feeling of standing on that rickety old folding chair over 20 years ago, looking out at a sea of people who were looking for solutions, who were looking for action, and looking for leadership to help guide them. And that's what we must do now together. Let's focus on the issues that unite our city, like defeating our common enemy, the rats, and discussing when is the new H Mart gonna open? January 9th, just a couple days away. But really, I often brag to people that live in other cities that I get to serve on a city council that agrees on more than we disagree on. I feel lucky I get to serve alongside colleagues that share similar values. We all agree that our residents deserve housing that's affordable and accessible. Our residents deserve good-paying jobs, reliable transit options, and infrastructure that gets them there, and a thriving local economy built on our small businesses. We all agree that our youth deserve schools that aren't crumbling, spaces to gather like a youth center, and accessible out-of-school time activities. and that our city staff on the ground doing the work every single day deserve fair wages and benefits that allow them to continue that hard work for our residents. So let's build on our shared values. Let's build on all we agree on to solve our toughest challenges. Because when you really think about it, our discussions and debates about our challenges as a city, they all come down to how do we support our people that make this city so great. When we talk about how the housing crisis and housing affordability on this council, what we mean is we don't want to lose our neighbors to sky-high rent increases and the pressures of gentrification. It means we don't want to lose our seniors who want to age in place where they have lived for generations. We can continue to prioritize affordable housing policies, tenant protections, and creative solutions that ensure that everyone, from longtime residents to newcomers, can call Somerville home. When we talk about transportation and transit options and safe streets, what we mean is we want our neighbor who commutes by bike to work and drops their kid off at daycare on the way to get there safely and to get home safely. We want our neighbor who relies on the bus and the T to get to work to be able to do so consistently on time. And that includes better maintenance of our city's sidewalks and streets for everyone to use. When we talk about investing in our public school infrastructure, we mean that every child should have access to a safe, supportive, and high-quality learning environment. The challenges facing the Winter Hill Community Innovation School stand as a stark reminder of the work that lies ahead. And when we talk about the threat of climate change, we mean that building a resilient and sustainable city, it's not just nice, it's necessary, especially for the future generations to come. And when we talk about being a welcoming city, we mean that we want everyone here to feel safe and welcome, and we must continue to ensure that there will be equitable access to city services for everyone. These challenges are complex, but they're not insurmountable. Somerville has a proud history of rising to meet difficult moments with creativity, with determination, and with grit. As we move forward, I'm committed to fostering that spirit of partnership with this council, with our city staff, and with our school committee and mayor, and most importantly, with all of you. By working together, we can develop solutions that reflect our values to build a stronger, more inclusive Somerville. For me, I'm seeing the city and the world through the eyes of a toddler, my amazing son Isaac. The challenges and opportunities here feel different now, perhaps even more urgent for us to solve for the next generation of Somervillians to come. So as we begin this new year, I invite each of you to join us as partners, as advocates, and as neighbors. Together, let's continue to make Somerville a city that not only meets the challenges of our time, but does so with courage, with innovation, with connection, and with heart. Thank you so much for being here this evening, for everyone watching at home, and let's get to work together.